Hello! It's that time of the month again. I actually really liked filming my August favorites video. That was kind of fun, just like talking about what I liked. And so I decided I'm gonna film another monthly favorite. So I'm gonna talk about everything that I really liked in September. First of all, I'm gonna talk about the books. There isn't a lot of books. I mainly read books for school, and so I didn't have a lot of time to read for my own enjoyment. And then we're gonna talk about perfumes or like other smelly things. And then we're gonna talk about skincare or self-care. Let's start with books. So in September, I started school, right? And I was incredibly busy. I was incredibly busy this month because in one of my classes, I have to basically read one like 300-page book every single week. And I also have like 5 other classes. And so I haven't really had time to read for myself. So this entire month, I only read 2 books for enjoyment. And then I read 4 books for class. I just want to mainly talk about one of them, and it's this one. This one is Walking Practice by Dolki Min, translated from the Korean by Victoria Cottle. This is a very, very short book, and it's not a genre that I typically go for. I found this in August, and I was sort of looking through my bookstore, and this particular bookstore that I went to, I like this bookstore because they have a lot of translated fiction, and that's mainly the reason why I go to this one. It's a Barnes & Noble, but it's like a different location from the Barnes & Noble that I usually go to. And I don't know, their collection of translation works is like much better than the one I typically go to. And so they had this book. I've never heard of this book before, but I thought it sounded really, really interesting. And so I wanted to pick it up. This book follows an alien named Mumu who finds themselves crash landed on Earth. They don't know where their family is. They don't know what happened to their home planet. And they have to learn how to fit in with humans. Being the only alien on this planet, they have to learn how to sort of mold their body into a human form because there's drawings in this book which are really pretty. This is just one of them. Get closer. But they sort of show like the alien's true form. And so every morning, Mumu has to mold themselves into humans, and then they have to choose, what gender do they want to portray, what body type do they want to portray, and all that stuff. A lot of the things that humans take for granted, Mumu finds so much trouble doing, including walking or going up the stairs. They find it incredibly hard to walk up the stairs without huffing and puffing because it's just so draining. It's such a draining activity for them, and which is why it's called walking practice, because one, they're learning how to walk every single day, but also at the same time, they're practicing on what it means to be human. And typically, I don't read science fiction fantasy novels. I typically like books that are more rooted in the real world. But this one was amazing. It was such a weird book, incredibly weird. One of the weirdest books I've ever read, but it worked and it was amazing. At the heart of this novel, this is essentially, I have to sneeze. Because at the heart of this novel, it is essentially a queer novel because Mumu is genderless. They don't have a gender and they morph their body into whatever they want to portray. They talk a lot about labels in human relationships and human connection and how humans all rely on labels in order to communicate with one another because we don't like ambiguity. In the very first few pages, Mumu tells us that they are purposefully sort of withholding their gender from the reader because they know that it's giving us anxiety not knowing what type of person this alien is. And they say that because we get anxiety from the ambiguous. We need to know who we're talking to. So that's why we created these labels ourselves and we place ourselves into these labels. So we have defined ourselves what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman, and we act these parts because society is performance. Basically, when someone doesn't fit into these labels or doesn't fit into these categories, for example, queer people, transgender people, they are further alienated from society because they're ambiguous or they don't fit into a label perfectly. And that sort of makes them different or alienated from everyone else. Along with the sort of queer lens of this book, there's also a lot of discussion on human connection and loneliness and what it means to be in a relationship. Because Mumu, the entire book, Mumu has a ton of... Mumu is kind of a crazy girl. Their job consists of meeting random strangers on dating apps, having back-breaking sex with them, doing the dirty with them until their back breaks, and then eating their heads off, and then like cooking them for dinner. It's so weird and bizarre, but it's such an amazing concept because you have these two sort of things where Mumu has to eat humans to survive, but at the same time, they crave so much for human connection and they feel so lonely. They want someone else to understand them. The entire book, they're talking about how sex alone is not going to fulfill their desire for intimacy. Since society is all a performance, they're essentially putting on an act in order for people to like them. But they don't want to act anymore. They want to be themselves. But, you know, being themselves is kind of scary because they look like that. And they know that if they show their true form, they're going to scare all the humans away. There's a lot of discussion on, you know, how do we get away from the performance aspect of society and truly be intimate with someone else? Great. This is a great book for anyone who's felt lonely at least once in their lifetime. It's also for people who, you know, don't feel like they belong in their own bodies. And it's just such a beautiful book. Such a beautiful book. This is the only 5-star book for me this entire month. And it's only 160 pages? Yeah, like 165 pages. It's incredibly short. I think I finished this in like 2 days. I laughed, I cried, and I was freaking horrified. This book is incredibly graphic, but the narrator's voice is so charming and electric, and the story literally just flies off the pages for me. It's an amazing book. I cannot recommend this enough. Also, if you want to check out my full thoughts on this book, I did write a review on it on Substack. So if you want to go check it out, please do. I also, you know, I'll mention this. The very beginning of September, I read this book. This is God and Sex by Jon Raymond. Now listen, God and sex, honestly, my 2 favorite topics to read about. And so just seeing them combined in a book like this is kind of cunty. This is a book about adultery and sex, but it's also about religion. And the narrator asks a lot of really good questions about religion. And I think they're questions that I believe that every single person who believes in a faith should ask themselves at least once in their lifetime. Because personally, this is just my own opinion, but I feel like you're not a true believer in your religion if you haven't questioned it at least once. Because if you don't question what you're believing in, that's sort of just blind faith to me. I mean, you're just listening blindly to what other people tell you. But I feel like if you truly question your own beliefs and try to understand what you're believing in, then that's what makes you a stronger believer in your own religion. And so this book asks really great questions, such as, if you're faced with a miracle, if this sudden coincidence happens to you, is it God who gave you this miracle, or did it just happen solely on its own? It also talks about the act of prayer and how prayer is, in its nature, kind of conceited or selfish, because essentially you're praying to a God in order to change nature, which is seen to be sort of out of humans' control. Is it conceited to believe that a simple prayer can change your life and the lives around you and your environment as a whole? Is it conceited to believe that you can change the world with a single prayer? And there's also discussions on Bible stories. The narrator Arthur mentions Abraham from the Bible and mentions how Abraham is seen as this figure of a true believer because he's willing to kill his own son for God. But if you sort of take out that religious lens, you're left to see Abraham, who hears voices in his head and wants to kill his son. So in a way, he's either religious or he's schizophrenic. And it really just asks questions about your own faith and what you believe in. I would not say that this is against religion. This is not a book that's for or against religion. It's definitely in the middle. And it simply just asks questions about the faith. And I really, really enjoyed that. So good book. Let me just mention the other books that I've read. I read The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. Oh, that was pretty good too. That was for my women's writers class, and I liked it. I kind of wish that the book was a little bit more cohesive. It sort of just felt like a bunch of short stories molded together, which was like fine. This is mainly a critique on like my part than the book. Like the writing was fine, but for me, I wish that the stories were a little bit more cohesive, because if it felt a little difficult for me to keep track of who was who and like whose mom is this and whose daughter is this. It was kind of hard. But that's just me. I really don't like short stories that much. And so it was a good story. They were quite heartfelt and I teared up a little bit. So it was solid. I also read 1, 2, 3 books for my Gothic literature class. And I read The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole, which is like the first Gothic novel ever written. I also read The Mysterious Mother by Horace Walpole, which is like the first Gothic play ever written. Both were like dramatic. Incredibly dramatic and ridiculous. It was odd. I have a review on that on Substack as well. I also read The Monk by Matthew Gregory Lewis. Weird freaking book. Weird freaking book. Oh my god. That book is literally insane and unhinged. You know what? I kind of recommend, if you kind of like crazy stuff, get on that. I also read The Italian by Anne Radcliffe. That was all right too. Honestly, by the time that I read The Italian, I was so tired of these Gothic tropes. They were the same thing over and over again. Mistaken identities, stolen identities, freaking, oh my god, like secret mom. Oh, that was your daughter. Oh, that was your sister. Oh, that was your mom. And then these weird like supernatural events and like all these plot twists, I was just kind of tired of them. They were all using the same formula and it was just kind of exhausting. But now in that class, I'm reading The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins this week. I'm finishing the book this week. And get on that book. If you want to read a Victorian classic, because, you know, Victorian classics are notoriously long. And, you know, you think of like Charles Dickens and his ridiculously long books, right? Honestly, I think The Woman in White can outdo any of Charles Dickens' book any day. But don't take my word on that. I only read A Tale of Two Cities. Wilkie Collins' writing is so much more impactful and intense. And The Woman in White is honestly one of the best classics I've read. It just does the Victorian novel right. Let's talk about fragrance. Now, there are 2 fragrances that I mainly wore in September. Let me get closer. I recently got this. This is Ilio from Diptyque. This is specifically the hair mist. And the reason why I got this was because I guess when I was filling out my information for the Diptyque website, I put in my birthday wrong. So instead of November, I put it as September for some reason. And so on your birthday month, they offer you a free gift with your next purchase. And I was like, you know what? Let me just get myself an early birthday gift. And so I bought myself Ilio, which is a perfume that I've been eyeing for the entire summer. But the full bottle eau de toilette is part of the full collection, while the hair mist is limited edition. And they got me with marketing because I love limited edition things. And so I got the hair mist. This is a beautiful scent that's fruity, floral, and fresh. It's amazing. The notes in this are, I believe, prickly pear, bergamot, jasmine, and iris. And it just smells like summer. But at the same time, I feel like if you wear this during fall, it'll still be really pretty because it still smells like flowers and it's still fresh. And also for me personally, I don't like heavy, warm, gourmand scents for fall. I don't wear warm scents. I don't like warm scents that much, to be honest. And so for fall, I don't typically have like fall scents or winter scents or whatever. I like to wear perfumes that are more year-round, if that makes any sense, because I'm honestly not that picky. Speaking of that, this is what I bought, but my birthday gift was this. This is the Bays candle. Bay candle. This retails for, I think, $48, but you get it for free in your birthday month. And so, I lit this candle multiple times this month, and oh, it's magnificent. This smells like a berry bush. This is very green, fresh, and it's also fruity. But at the same time, there's something about it that smells like rose and lychee. If you know Eau Rose from Diptyque, this kind of smells like it. Like there's a hint of that lychee from the Eau Rose in here. At least that's what I imagine. Anyways, this is really good. I love this candle so much. It's also really fragrant. This tiny thing, it fills up my entire apartment. Like, it's extremely fragrant. And the scent projects. This probably projects more than my freaking huge Book Loft candle from Bath & Body Works. I love this candle, and it packs a punch, so really great quality too. The other perfume that I've been wearing is this one from Diptyque. This is Le Papier. I've had this for a while. I bought this, I want to say March or April. I feel like with the weather cooling down a little bit, this is the perfect, cozy book reading perfume. And I spend a lot of my time reading for class and whatnot. And so I just love wearing this perfume, going to the bookstore and reading and doing my homework. Oh, it's magnificent. If you don't know, Le Papier, smells like the steam coming from a rice cooker. But for me personally, I also smell a lot of mimosa. There's a lot of mimosa in here as well. So it's a little bit florally at the same time. But this is just a beautiful musky fragrance. On the first spray, it smells, you know, warm and cozy and like rice. But after a few hours, it does smell a little bit more musky, a bit sharper, like pencil shavings. It smells like books in a bookstore and you're just reading with your favorite candle lit and it's amazing. Look at that dent though. That dent kind of makes me sad. I have no idea what I'm gonna do when I run out. I guess this next thing is like sort of a combination of fragrance and body care, but I bought this recently. This is the Dove body scrub with crushed macadamia and rice milk. I really like this stuff. I bought this because Melissa on TikTok recommended it because I think she said that like sugar body scrubs aren't good for your body. I have no idea if that's true or not, but I bought this because the crushed macadamia really interested me. I used a sugar scrub before this one. I used the I think it's called like the tree hut scrub or something like that with the sugar scrub, and honestly that it was fine, but you know, sugar like dissolves when you run it through water. This one, the macadamia nuts do not dissolve, and so it packs a punch. This exfoliates really well. It also just smells really good. It smells really good. This smells like a Bath and Body Works candle. It's so warm and creamy. I actually quite like using this. It kind of gets all over the place in my shower because when you wash it off, like I said, the sugar doesn't dissolve, and so it's kind of like stuck on the walls and whatever, so I just have to like wipe down the walls. But it's fine because honestly, my skin's been feeling really smooth lately, and I think it's this, like it works great. I would say that this is kind of slightly gourmand, but I would not eat this. This is not something you eat. It just smells like a candle. Next is some skincare. This is the Celimax Noni Ampoule. I bought this in Korea, and you see I've been using it for a while. I've been using this since, I want to say June. I've been using this since June, and you know, it's lasted a while. This is a big bottle. I don't think they sell this size here in America. I think this is 80 milliliters or something, and I think in America they only go up to like 50, I believe. This is an amazing product. This is extremely calming, and it's also made my skin really smooth. It smoothens out my skin. It gets rid of the redness. It's amazing. It's incredibly soothing. I love it. This is great stuff. The next one is this one. This is the Ilion Ceramide Aloe Lotion. So personally, before this, I've been using the Ilion Ceramide Aloe Cream, the thicker one, for the winter time. And I really like the cream because it's extremely thick and it's almost like pasty, but it's just smooth at the same time. And that's one of the only moisturizers that's been able to keep my skin hydrated because my skin is just, you know, really dry. And so I thought that I wouldn't like the lotion just because it's a little bit thinner and more gel-like than the cream, but I've actually really been liking the lotion as well. Well, it's not winter yet, and so it's still kind of hot here. So I think this is perfect for this season right now. Even though it's really lightweight, it's still really moisturizing, and I really like this stuff. Ilion, I've always trusted Ilion with my sensitive dry skin. They make the best products for sensitive skin. I love Ilion so much. I think this is great. If you have dry skin, I definitely do recommend this, but if you have severe, damaged, dehydrated skin, then I recommend the cream. But this one is great for like everyday use. Oh, I wanted to talk about one more product. I've been using this one a lot more recently. I got this in Korea when I was at a mini fan meeting with Changha. Changha gave us like a gift bag, and one of the gifts was this lip tint. This is the Tony Moly Get It Tint Glaze Balm. I think this is shade Ice Candy. I'm pretty sure this is Ice Candy, but this is what it looks like, if you can see. It's great. It's also really cooling on the lips. I don't like wearing lip products that are too pigmented just because I don't wear makeup other than foundation. Like I don't wear eyeshadow or anything. And so I typically look better in the My Lip But Better kind of shades, MLBB, I guess. And this is exactly that. It makes my lips look a tiny bit pinker, but it makes me look livelier. And so I really like this lip product, and it's also really nice and hydrating, and it's really cooling on the lips, so good stuff. I think that's all I want to talk about. Those are my September favorites. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. I think the next video I'm gonna post is gonna be the haul from my Asia trip. It will be. I mean, I have finished editing it, so I'm gonna upload that after this one. I promise. If you want to see, my full book reviews on any of the books that I mentioned, check out my Substack. I have my book reviews on there as well. I also have other cool articles as well. I just finished writing an article about capitalism and creativity and how capitalism works to destroy creativity in the arts. And I had fun writing it, so I hope you enjoy reading it as well. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.